What if Poison Jab was in Gen 1 OU? Now, out of all of the moves that I'm adding in Gen 1, not counting Toxic Spikes, this is definitely gonna be probably the least impactful. It's hard to say because we're also adding Dragon Claw. However, since the Dragon types are gonna be, well, good, I'm gonna say it's probably relevant, just because for a lot of them, there's not many other consistent ways to deal with them. But Poison Jab, I think it's different. This is just gonna be a solid move that will definitely buff some Pokemon, but I don't think it will be super groundbreaking. In fact, I think there's a very decent chance that none of the poison types even manage to, be very good other than Sneasler and Naganadel. And both of those are more so good because of their stats and because, well, their signature moves, to be honest. Dragon Pulse is slightly more powerful than Dragon Claw, and it's basically about as powerful as Blizzard with Stab. And then freaking Sneasler has Dire Claw, which I am predicting is gonna get it banned. And if it doesn't get it banned, it's gonna mean it's really good. So, it does make you wonder where poison types are gonna be in all of this. If Sneasler doesn't get banned, I'm gonna say they're gonna have no role whatsoever. Because yes, bug types are gonna be a thing, but again, Sneasler is just so much better. So if that's the case, Sneasler will probably get banned. And then poison types will have the niche of having super effective coverage against Exeggutor, and being able to hit the bug type super effectively. I don't remember if Rock resists poison, so at the very least, they'll be hitting hard against Vespiquen and maybe Golisopod. But either way though, for actual Gen 1, Poison Jab would be a pretty good buff. Like starting up here, we have Gengar, and Gengar doesn't have great attack, but keep in mind, you're already using max attack anyways for Explosion. And I feel like it can be a nice move just to take out every once in a while in order to scare Exeggutor. Because Exeggutor being weak to poison is actually something you can take advantage of. But these other Pokemon take much, much better advantage of it, however. Nidoking already has an absolutely amazing move pool, so it doesn't really need it, but I do think it does enjoy having two different physical moves it can be using. Arbok, I think, also really enjoys it, because Arbok, outside of, like, Earthquake and Rock Slide, or actually, no, I would say Arbok already has a pretty good move pool with Body Slam, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Mega Drain, Wrap, Hyper Beam, Glare, etc. But I do think having a stab move, it appreciates. I don't think it'd be groundbreaking in PU, or whatever tier Arbok is in, but I do think it would really enjoy it. Especially since, in PU, Pinsir and Scyther are really good, so being super effective against those is actually relevant. Meanwhile, Beedrill and 7U stocks go all the way up. It's not able to outspeed anything, but Poison Jab it absolutely loves that. I don't know how hard it actually hits, but part of the problem with Beedrill is that you need to set up 2 Sword Stance and Agility just to finish everything off with Hyper Beam. But I'm willing to bet having a strong stab move would probably get rid of some of its weaknesses, or at the very least just, actually have it do something. I don't know how much this actually helps Beedrill in 7U. Don't even know if I'm gonna make another 7U or 10U video again. It's been a while since I've done one of those, but it's worth looking into. Now, I don't know if Tentacruel would do super well in OU. I think with Sword Stance, it would have a niche. But Sword Stance Tentacruel definitely becomes a lot better in UU. With just a decently strong stat poison jab you can use with Sword Stance. I don't know how good Tentacruel with Sword Stance usually is. I'm assuming the other things it has going for it you would just rather use in UU. But I think with Poison Jab and Hyper Beam, Sword Stance could be a nice subversion what you might usually see. But by far, I think the best user of Poison Jab is Venusaur. Because already, Venusaur has a, a decent niche of just being a Sword Stance user in OU. Because it's usually good because it has Sword Stance but also Razor Leaf. But unlike in other gens, it doesn't have Earthquake. So when it comes to physical moves it can use with a Sword Stance, it's just Body Slam and Hyper Beam. This is where Poison Jab comes in. Just a pretty good physical stab move that you can use. You don't have to use Hyper Beam on everything. And while Body Slam is good, it's not a lot, but it is kind of good. You have something against Gengar instead of it just being immune. And Sword Stance Poison Jab would definitely do more damage than an always critical Razor Leaf, which you can also probably put in here somewhere as well. Venusaur is pretty versatile. Would even be surprised if there's some insane sets that's just getting rid of Sweet Powder entirely, and it's just Sword Stance, Razor Leaf, Poison Jab, Hyper Beam. I have some replays, and I feel like there aren't any other Pokemon I want to go over when it comes to stuff that would hit Poison Jab. But there's a lot. So, sorry. I would recommend you should, look it up yourself. Or talk in the server. Because, whenever you're in the Discord server, there's definitely people that are always willing to talk about whatever in both the Pokemon channel and Generation Jumble. Not to mention, there's always people willing to listen to you and help you with replays. And there's some other Pokemon that could be worth talking about as well, such as Rhydon. Maybe having super effective coverage against Exeggutor is interesting. But one thing I want to say before getting to the replays is that you should definitely join the server, because it's a lot of fun. And to be honest, I would have made this video 2 hours earlier, but I was having so much fun talking to you guys that I just got super distracted. But this place is great, we have a lot of channels, and it always manages to make me laugh. So you guys should do that, because it's pretty great. But now let's get into the replays. We only have 2, because I just needed to just show you guys a little bit on how good Poison Jab is. You don't need to see much other than that. So starting off with Gengar. Even if Gengar has very low attack, Poison Jab is still a 3-hit KO. And this is why I think Poison Jab on Gengar isn't really that bad. Same way how you might put Mega Drain on Exeggutor here, or Starmie's. You could do the same thing for Gengar. And keep in mind, Gengar has Taurus's crit rate. So that means that even that matchup you saw there won't even be as bad as it looks. Granted, Exeggutor can crit too, but if Gengar gets at least 1 crit, which is pretty likely, it 2-hit KOs Exeggutor, meaning Poison Jab is a move that could realistically actually help you win the matchup. At the very least, it's something Exeggutor needs to look out for, and it just makes Gengar a little bit more versatile than it already is. And Gengar's already a very versatile Pokemon. Not as much as Gen 3, but it has a lot of uses, and a lot of surprises. So, lastly, I just want to show some other Pokemon, mostly the Sword Stance Pokemon, that have Poison Jab, because it's so pretty handy for them as well. And it's, again, Venusaur is probably the best out of all of the Sword Stance users. And even against Alakazam, Poison Jab does decent damage. Like, I think that's a 3 KO as well. So, like, maybe in this replay, Alakazam did some misplaying, but it doesn't really matter. You have a basic idea. Now, I'm pretty sure since Swords Dance does ever so slightly more than a crit, I think that should have actually killed there. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. But even just a regular poison jab, as you see, does a lot of damage. It 2 KOs Chansey. I'm not sure if a not a critical body slam, but just a Swords Dance boosted one. I'm not sure if that 2 KOs Chansey as well. But I definitely believe Poison Jab does more damage. And while the small chance to poison something is annoying, I'm gonna say that it's still not a big deal. Because most of the Pokemon using Poison Jab, like whether it be Gengar or Swords Dance users like Tentacruel or Venusaur, like they're going to be just revenge killing anyways. They're going to be sent out late game when your opponent is very low on, Pokemon and HP. And if that's the case, they're probably already saddest. So Poison Jab, having a small chance to poison, won't be that relevant. And I'm not sure how the percentages work for Gengar exactly. If Gengar were to get a Poison Jab, and it immediately poisons the Exeggutor, is that poison chip enough to where Gengar can 2 KO Exeggutor? I don't think so, but maybe someone can let me know in the comments below. But this is a bit of a short video. I now have the fighting types to take care of, and then we can finally start looking into a date for Generation Jumbo Season 2. It's going to be a pretty long season as well, so should be a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. This is Groundback, and until next time, I look forward to hearing from you.